Takaona. If Sadako and Slenderman had a nasty, perverted daughter who never learned boundaries, that would be Taka Onna, and you should probably hear what she does before deciding whether that comparison is fair or not. Her name literally means tall woman, which is about as creative as naming your dog. But at least it's accurate because she uses that insane height for one very specific purpose, spying on couples in the red light district. So while you're hiding in your mom's basement waiting for the video to load, the Takaona is laughing her head off at the front row seat. But she's not enjoying the show at all. In life, Taka Onna was an ordinary woman who was apparently too ugly to get laid or even land a job at the pleasure houses, which is genuinely impressive in the worst way possible. She died bitter and alone, which is tragic, but also apparently inspiring because she came back with one mission: making sure no one else gets laid either. Now, in death, she does what she couldn't in life: getting into bedrooms, just not her own. Instead, she stretches that giraffe neck to second-floor windows and watches couples mid-action, like she's judging their form. Afterwards, she just walks away like nothing happened, leaving the couple traumatized to death, or at least scared enough to never step into the red light district ever again. Out of all yokai, though, the Taka Onna is one of the least dangerous. But while she doesn't do much physical damage, the psychological horror she gives is enough to keep one's crotch zipped for life. Lesson here: if you can't grow other things, you might as well become a grower yourself and make it everyone else's problem. Uondo. Ever heard of a Ningo? It's Japan's version of a mermaid, except now the head is human, sure, but everything below the neck is a whole lot of crap. I mean, carp. You see, Uondo was one of these Ningos, and despite looking like something you'd find half-price at a seafood market, she was apparently beautiful enough that a human named Heiji decided to marry her anyway, which really says something about his standards. Unfortunately for them, they found themselves drowning in debt, probably because love doesn't pay bills, and neither does having a wife who smells like tuna. Luckily for Uondo, a brothel owner named Denzo saw her and thought she'd make an excellent hooker because clearly nothing says sexy like scales and the lingering scent of the ocean. He was convinced she'd make a splash in the industry, and honestly, he wasn't wrong, just not in the way he hoped. On her debut night, Uondo flopped onto the floor and fell asleep before anything good could happen, which understandably made the guy reconsider whether he was about to bone a woman or debone a fish. The manager, being a reasonable and understanding person, blamed Uondo for the disaster and buried her and Heiji in even more debt. Fortunately, they had a brilliant idea to get out of it: open a licking store, which is exactly what it sounds like. You pay money to lick Uondo. Apparently, licking mermaids has healing properties and can extend your lifespan. So really, it's just alternative medicine with extra saliva. Anyway, the business boomed, they got rich, and everyone lived happily ever after. Lesson here: when life gives you a fishwife, charge people to lick her and call it wellness. Hone Onna. This yokai's affection goes straight to the bone, which sounds sweet until you realize that's all she's leaving behind. Unlike most yokai on this list, the Hone Onna isn't tied to the red light district. She can show up anywhere her heart is, which is ironic considering she doesn't have one anymore. Because the Hone Onna is a literal walking, talking skeleton who's out to bone her lover. And yes, both meanings apply. She's the spirit of a dead woman who wants nothing more than to reunite with her beloved husband, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, and while clearly thinking "till death do us part" is more of a suggestion than a rule, because every night she crawls out of her grave and sneaks back to her former lover's house like nothing ever happened. The guy, meanwhile, has absolutely no idea he's been screwing a pile of bones. To him, she looks exactly the same as when she was alive, maybe even better. That's the twisted part. The more she rots, the hotter she appears in his eyes. And the guy? His life force literally gets sucked out faster than people can suck out bone marrow. Luckily, the illusion is limited only to her lover. Everyone else sees her for what she is: pure calcium, no protein. But unless someone manages to snap him out of it, he'll literally get screwed to death. The main lesson here: never bone someone suspicious. Nurari Hion. Not all yokai in red light districts are girls to die for. Sometimes they're old guys with papaya heads and catfish-looking faces. But if we learned anything from this video, it's that looks can be deceiving. You see, Nurari Hion is supposedly the big boss of all yokai. He can order around other yokai and even manipulate humans without them realizing it. He also travels in a palanquin, has servants following him around, and collects treasures wherever he goes. But here's his real talent. He just walks into people's homes uninvited, sits down, drinks their tea, and helps himself to whatever he wants. And the homeowners, they just let him. They'll serve him, make small talk, watch him leave with their stuff, and only after he's gone do they realize they have no idea who that was, or why they let a musty old man ransack their house. Honestly, that's one hell of a thief. But apparently, the Nurari Hion is more than just a smooth criminal. In fact, he may have been an ancient being with ties to the sea, which makes sense considering his head looks like a deflated jellyfish. Other than that, though, there's not a lot known about him. But what we do know is that he enjoys visiting brothels and mountains, which honestly tracks. If you've been swindling yokai and humans for centuries, you've probably got enough gold to blow on whatever you want. Lesson here: if a random old man walks into your house and starts drinking your tea, don't assume it's Nurari Hion. just call the police. Kera Kera Onna. You know what's worse than running into a freakishly tall ghost? Running into a freakishly tall ghost who won't stop laughing at you until you literally die. Picture this. You're walking through some dark alley in the red light district, minding your business, when suddenly you hear someone cackling like an absolute lunatic. You turn around, nobody there. Then you hear it again, louder this time. And that's when you notice the street getting darker, like something massive just blocked out the sky. So naturally, you look up. Staring right back at you is the giant face of an old woman, caked in thick white makeup, grinning ear to ear. She leans down and says, "Who's laughing now, huh?" Yeah, that's Kera Kera Onna. And laughing at you isn't even the worst part. She also dances. So imagine a woman built like a triple-decker fridge, cackling like a lunatic and doing a victory dance while you're down there having an existential crisis. Honestly, I don't know if you should be fainting or crying, but fainting might genuinely be your best option here, because staying conscious? That's where things get ugly. See, her laugh doesn't just stop when she leaves. According to the stories, it follows you for days, weeks, sometimes even years. And the real kicker? Nobody else can hear it, just you, over and over and over, until you go completely insane and decide to unalive yourself. But while you're haunted by her laughter, her backstory is nothing to laugh about. She was once a prostitute who died of old age, without ever gaining her freedom. So in death, she became a yokai, forever laughing at the place that made her suffer. Lesson here: you can't laugh your way out of this one, and noise-canceling headphones won't save you. Kage Onna. Ever been sunbathing and felt a shadow pass over you? And for a split second you're like, please let it be a hot guy calling me white chocolate? Sorry to disappoint, it's Kage Onna. And she doesn't do compliments, just hauntings. Here's the thing though. She's literally just a shadow, a woman-shaped silhouette that appears behind sliding doors or along dimly lit hallways. You see her, you open the door to check, and surprise, nothing's there. Just empty space and your rapidly increasing heart rate. Now, the Kage Onna herself isn't particularly dangerous. She's probably the most polite yokai on this list, which should be comforting, except it's not, because her appearance isn't the problem. It's what comes after. According to some legends, the Kage Onna's appearance is a warning of what's to come. She shows up in places that are about to get haunted, which, if you ask me, was already obvious. Because honestly, if there's a humanoid shadow floating on your living room wall at 3 a.m., you don't need a warning. You need a priest. So, if you ever see a shadow pass over you while you're visiting a brothel, something is about to happen. You'll possibly be haunted by regret, confusion, or an empty wallet. Lesson here: if even a yokai is warning you not to go into the brothel, don't go. Kejoro. Ever see someone from behind and think, oh shit, I know her, only to realize it's a stranger, and now you have to pretend you were looking at something else? Awkward as hell, right? Well, just be thankful it wasn't a Kejoro, because if it was, embarrassment would be the absolute least of your problems. With this yokai, Japan wasn't even trying to be subtle. You see, Kajoro literally means hairy prostitute. I'm not kidding, that's actually her name. And when I say hairy, I don't mean she skipped a wax appointment. I mean, she's hairy up front. I mean, like, in the face. Please don't shoot the messenger. Anyway, like all yokai in this list, Little Miss Harry Potter appears in red light districts looking for young, healthy men to snack on. Usually it's the other way around, but with a yokai on the loose, that's not bound to happen. From behind though, she's an easy 10. Beautiful figure, long silky hair, the whole deal. So naturally, some guy spots her standing alone in the dark and thinks, I'm dying to get to know her. And honestly, he nailed the first part. Because the second he approaches and she turns around, she suddenly transforms into a furry. Well, sort of. Her entire head is covered in thick, matted hair, and her body too. Nobody's even sure if there's an actual person underneath or if it's just a bad wig all the way down. What happens next depends on who you ask. Some say the guy just faints. Others say she strangles him with her hair. Either way, he's not having a good time. The lesson here is easy. Before approaching someone, confirm they have a face. It's a low bar, but apparently necessary. Kosode no te. I love how Japan is always deciding whether to make a hot woman or a random object the scariest stuff ever. And well, in this case, it's unfortunately the latter. You see, haunted items are already a hard pass, but items that sprout rotting hands, fly at you like a deranged missile, and choke you to death are probably somewhere at the top of that list. That's Kosode no te, a flying kimono that looks so good it slays. Except you don't slay in the outfit just slays you, which is an important distinction when it comes to fashion choices in the red light district. At first glance, it's literally just a short-sleeved kimono floating around minding its business until it decides you look like a decent target. It has no head, no body, no legs, just hands, which, in the red light district, you'd think would be useful. But no, she's not here for tips. She's here for throats. On paper, it's just a piece of cloth zooming around the pleasure district, grabbing the nearest horny guy by the throat. But here's where it gets significantly less funny. A Kosode no te was born out of kimonos, formerly owned by dead prostitutes. Most prostitutes were sold into brothels as young girls, worked all their lives, only to end up getting killed or dying from overwork. So in death, Their souls clung to these kimonos, and now they haunt anyone unlucky enough to cross paths with them, which honestly seems pretty reasonable when you think about the circumstances. Lesson here? Always get your vintage kimonos blessed by a monk before wearing them, because the phrase secondhand clothing hits different when the hands are literally reaching out of the sleeves to strangle you. Alright folks, that concludes the list. Drop your survival plan in the comments, I'll wait. Just make sure you like the video first. It's the only thing keeping me from turning into a monster.